Alright guys, welcome back. This is another Trials Guide video. So today we're going to be going over Galenway. Unfortunately, because Mayflower has been doing a lot of Galenway +1 farms, I don't really have a good quality video of Galenway. This is actually from, as you can see here, from the YouTube stream that I have. So that was recorded at 720p, so that's kind of why it's a little bit blurry right now. Let me actually see what it's on right now. It's on 480. Let's swap it up to 720p. Alright, that's a little bit better video quality there. So this is Galenway. This is one of the side bosses of Cloudrest. This is the one on the left hand side. So if you're going off the bridge and you go to the left, this is the only boss there. So this is going to be the ice boss here. Just like the rest of these side bosses here, you had a couple of ads to get rid of. It's just a bunch of creepers and Yagga Monstrosity. So actually let's go back to Yagga Monstrosity real quick so I can show you guys what it looks like and kind of explain what's going on with the Yagga Monstrosity. Alright, once it loads. So basically, Yagga Monstrosities are what a lot of groups just called Velis, because they look very similar to Veladreth. It's basically the exact same character model as Veladreth, just slightly shrunken down. Obviously, they kind of fit the arena here. So what the Yagga Monstrosities do is, it might be taking a while because I'm on 720p. Let's just do auto. Go back down here. Okay. So these are the Yagga Monstrosities look like. I know it's a little bit hard to see just because of the quality is 360p because my internet is being a little bit weird today. But it basically just looks like a Veladreth, and it'll apply Baneful Mark on whoever it's targeting at the time. So that's basically what brings your tank's health all the way down to like 5k or so, bring them down to about 10% health, and then it also applied a healing debuff on them equal to about 7 to 80% healing debuff. So the only way to get rid of it is to either kill the Yagga Monstrosity or heal yourself back all the way up to full. While it's not very important here in this particular fight because there's only one and it's only at the beginning of the fight, when you're going against Zamaja, there will always be a Yagga Monstrosity that spawns after each Shadow World phase, so it's important to know how to deal with Baneful Mark earlier on. Basically, what you want to do in order to kind of combat Baneful Mark, there's kind of two things to do. The first one is just use Undo, and then hopefully the 4 seconds previously will be basically, you'll be at full health or close to full health, so it's less, basically you don't have to heal all the way up from 10% all the way back up to full. Or the other option is just to stack Major Mending, Major Vitality, Minor Vitality, all the healing buffs that you can, and then get a bunch of healing done on you. So things like Vigor, Dragon Blood for your self heals, any sort of healing ultimates, so a Templar healing ulti for instance, trees if you have a Warden healer, then you want springs, any sort of synergies you can get, so Blood Altars, healing orbs, everything that you can possibly get, basically stack all that healing together in order to get all the way back up to full. That's going to be more useful for this is a Zamaja fight rather than right here, but it's important to know how to deal with Baneful Mark when that happens. So let's go ahead and go back to where were we? Somewhere around here. Okay, I think it was around 31. Okay. So here we are. We're going to start the fight here between Galenway and his Griffin. I don't remember what the Griffin is called. But basically, there's two bosses here. So you have Galenway, who is the rider, then you have the Griffin. So most groups will not call them by the actual name, to just say rider or Griffin. So each one has their own mechanics that you just want to watch out for. So I am tanking this, so you will get the tank perspective. So I will be taking Galenway first. So the first thing that you want to do is, well, let's just go over Galenway mechanics first since we're tanking him. So Galenway is probably going to be the most dangerous boss to tank out of the three side bosses here. And that's just because you can see here, first you have a circle that he puts around. The inside is safe, so you're fine on the inside, but the DPS won't be able to get to him, so it's easier just to bring him out, just dodge roll through it. And then the big one that kind of hurts the most is this AoE that he puts around himself. So this is basically just like something like lightning form or something like that. And it does deal damage, and it does a fair amount of damage as well, so that's kind of the danger here, and it will basically stay on Galenway, doesn't like stay here, so if I were to move Galenway it would follow him, and so this is kind of the big worrisome thing here. This is actually probably the worst out of the three side bosses in terms of AoE damage, so it's actually quite damaging. He does have a little bit of a charge up time. You can see there that he did try to plunge his sword down to the ground. That's an interruptible move. I interrupted it before it could happen. And basically what happens is he plunges his sword down into the ground, and then he kind of creates a little AoEs that pop up throughout the arena, and it'll keep on popping up as long as he has his sword in the ground. So you just want to interrupt it, although there might be some instances where you might not want to interrupt it. So the Griffin has its own special move, which I'll go over in a second, but the little ice spikes that come out of the ground while he's doing his interruptible can actually destroy a mechanic, so that might make the fight easier. Most groups just deal with the mechanic and just interrupt Galenway, but it is something that you might want to consider. There is an achievement associated with destroying that mechanic 20 times or something using this move, so that's just something to keep in mind if you want to go for that achievement for whatever reason. And then beyond that, Galenway has a teleport move, so you can see there that he ported over to, he usually teleports to the farthest person away from him, and then when he teleports, he will create a big AoE, and just kind of do that. So if you guys remember the last boss of Hoarfrost Keep, it's basically the kind of same concept there, where she'll teleport, and you'll create a big AoE. It's not a one-shot, but it does do a pretty strong amount of damage there. So now there's going to be a portal that spawns it's every so often. So basically this is going to be the Shadow World mechanic. So while you're in the Shadow World, 2 or 3 DPS will go down. There will be 3 crystals that spawn out throughout the edges of the arena. What you gotta do is you gotta destroy those crystals. There'll be a small orb that spawns. This orb will shoot out projectiles at everybody in the arena every once in a while. Pretty easy, not very damaging. And when an orb spawns, there will be a spear shard. Let me see if we can find a spear shard actually that spawns. Let me see if I can find one. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see because again, video quality. But basically, is a spear that spawns on the light world. Basically, what you got to do if you're on the light world, basically you want to synergize with it, and that'll send the spear down to the Shadow World. And now in the Shadow World, what the DPS have to do is basically you want to pick up the orb, and then you want to run it into the sphere so it destroys the orb. While you have the orb, you synergize with it in order to pick it up, and it will deal oblivion damage to you while you have it on you. So one thing you want to do is really want to coordinate when spears are available, so that way you're not holding onto the orb for too long, because then it will eventually kill you. So what a lot of groups do, will they just call out the shards, so something like shard 1 down, shard 2 down, so on and so forth, and then so that way the people down at the bottom know when it is safe to kind of grab an orb and run it to a shard. So if you have all 3 orbs up, but you only hear shard 2, and you don't want to pick up that 3rd orb until you hear shard 3 down or something like that. So that's the Rider as well as the Shadow World mechanic. Now the Griffin has a couple of mechanics that you want to deal with. So the first one right now is the Griffin will be on the ground, then it'll be in the air. Start off on the ground and then it'll go into the air. So while it's in the air, you'll see these little whirlwinds that kind of spawn out. If you get hit by them, it'll stun you and it'll put a dot on you called Dark Drain. You can't cleanse the dot, you just have to heal through it and deal with it. If you get hit with a whirlwind, again, it'll stun you. These smaller ones is not blockable. It'll definitely stun you no matter if you're blocking or not. However, he will also create a giant whirlwind and kind of shoot it out towards a random person. That'll knock you down. Still apply the dot on you, but you can block the knockdown. So that's something just to be mindful of. You can't block the Dark Drain, unfortunately, but you can block the knockdown of the larger whirlwind that he shoots out. What a lot of groups do is they attack the Griffin while it's on the ground, and then while it's in the air, they go attack the Rider. So that's kind of the general rule there. The Rider has a lot less health than the Griffin. The Griffin has about 36. The Rider has about 16. So that's just something to keep in mind. You want to kill them both around the same time, so you just don't want to kill one before the other. If you kill one, Zamaja will summon the creepers out, and the creepers will start targeting people with Razor Thorn. That'll basically silence you, so you can't use any moves that use Magicka. And then there'll just be too many creepers, and at that point it's just going to be a wipe. So you do want to kill both bosses at around the same time. So just be mindful of their health, because again, they don't have equal amounts of health. Galenway has about half the health of his Griffin. And now we have to go over the Griffin mechanics here. So let's skip ahead to when it's on the ground. Alright. So one thing you do want to be mindful of is while they're close together, they are enraged, so just be mindful of that. You can tell they're enraged when they're glowing red like that. So now the Griffin does have a special move. Let's see if he'll do it. I should be doing it soon. Hold on there. Let's move ahead here. Okay, so it doesn't seem like he did it here. Oh wait, yes, he did do it. I was trying to look for the actual tell for it. So basically, the Griffin has a special move that it'll do when it rears up on its hind legs and screeches and starts glowing. When that happens, something called Hoarfrost will appear on the arena. So let's see if we can find Hoarfrost here. Alright, so that's what it looks like when the special mechanic's going to go out. So what happens here is that it'll pick one person. It could be anybody that doesn't have taunt on a boss. So the tanks will usually never get it, but any of the DPS and healers can possibly get it, and it's called Hoarfrost. It's basically a dot that is applied on you. It'll last for about 6 seconds. After 6 seconds, you have to hit the synergy button to drop the dot. That basically drops basically a little whirlwind, a tiny little whirlwind that has a kind of a light blue AoE. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it because I'm a tank, not a DPS. So you can see here that, hold on, let me go back a couple of seconds here. So you can see here that, so this person over here has the Hoarfrost. So you know it's on you. If you either Raid Notifier will tell you, or you'll have this blue glow around you. You'll take constant damage because again it is a dot, and then at some point after 6 seconds you'll basically be slowed down to almost a crawl. You won't be able to move at all. That's when you want to hit synergy. If you don't hit the synergy button, you will die from the dot and it'll still release it anyway. So it's just basically just hit the synergy as soon as it pops up. The synergy does take lower precedence to other synergies, so if you have something like orbs and liquid lightning on top of you, you might need to spam the synergy button before you can drop the dot there. And so let's see if you can see when they drops the dot. Okay, so you can see here that they dropped the dot. This is what the Hoarfrost looks like while it's out on the field. So basically a light blue circle with a giant tornado around it. While the tornado is out on the field, it'll hit everybody in the arena with direct damage. It'll basically throw out shards of ice at everybody. These shards of ice will hit harder and harder until it just wipes everybody in the group. So what you want to do is you just basically want to do what's called swapping off the Hoarfrost. So you know, when you drop the Hoarfrost, you want to drop it in the group so that way it's immediately picked up by somebody else. Then that person drops the Hoarfrost, it picks up by somebody else, and then that third person drops the Hoarfrost, and at that point when you drop it, it'll be the last Hoarfrost, and then you just get rid of it. When you drop the Hoarfrost, you will not be able to pick up another Hoarfrost for 12 seconds, so you can't use 2 people to just trade them back and forth. You will need to have 3 different people pick up the Hoarfrost and drop them. The debuff is called Hoarfrost Scar, and it does slow you a little bit. It's about like a 50% speed debuff, but it doesn't leave any dots on you. You just can't pick up the Hoarfrost, and you're slightly slowed for those 12 seconds. So that's just something to be mindful of. So again, you do want to drop it in group so it's immediately picked up, so that way it's not kind of free in the arena and hitting everybody. And then you do want to drop the synergy right when it pops. And if you have multiple synergy buttons, you just want to spam the synergy until you see that you have gotten rid of it. If you hold on to it, it will kill you. So that is it for this video. Again, I apologize for the quality. Just my internet's kind of, you know, my internet's a little bit weird sometimes. So sorry for the visual quality here. If you have any questions or comments about the mechanics, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll try to get back to them as soon as I can. So that's it for this video. The next video is going to be Zamaja. So we'll be going over a +1 with Mayflower, just because that has a better video quality, but the exact same mechanics apply to +0, and I'll also be trying to go over +2 and +3 when we get a chance to go over them. But I'll just be starting off with Zamaja and +1 because that's generally what most people are going to be doing. They won't really be doing +2 or +3. +1 is probably the easiest in order to farm for perfect gear. So we'll just be going over that, and once I get a hard mode clear, I'll be doing a video on how we do hard mode. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys found it informative, and I will see you guys in the next trial.